Something unexpected has unfolded in this Bugatti Chiron rebuild, and it's sparked a level of discussion that goes far beyond what anyone anticipated. At first glance, you might assume the attention is about the obvious milestones, the rebuild itself, the striking custom interior, or even the fact that the car has been revived at all. But that's not really what people are focusing on anymore. What's capturing attention now is what this entire process is starting to represent. This project has shifted from being just another ambitious rebuild into something much bigger, a conversation about how hypercars are meant to be treated versus what happens when someone decides to ignore those expectations entirely. And if you've been following along since the beginning, you already understand that this was never supposed to reach this stage. It wasn't expected to go this far, to get this detailed, or to challenge so many assumptions along the way. Initially, there was doubt at every level. The idea that a Bugatti Chiron could be taken apart, split into sections, repaired, and then reassembled outside of an official facility sounded unrealistic. Even the manufacturer likely wouldn't have expected such a process to succeed in a standard garage setting. But against those expectations, that's exactly what has happened. Now the project has reached a point where the conversation is no longer centered around whether it can be done. That question has already been answered. The focus has shifted to something more complicated, whether it should be done this way at all. That distinction is where opinions begin to divide, and it's what makes this stage of the build so compelling. Looking at the car itself, it has already come an incredible distance mechanically. Much of the major damage has been addressed, leaving only a few visible issues remaining, including something as specific as a gearbox bracket. Surprisingly, even that turned out to be repairable through welding. That moment alone challenges expectations, because when people think about hypercars, they imagine components that are too complex, too restricted, or too delicate to touch. Yet here is a critical piece being repaired rather than replaced, showing that even a machine at this level is still made up of parts that can be understood and worked on. As the team continues to dig deeper into the car, a pattern starts to emerge. Yes, it's advanced, and yes, it's engineered to an extreme level, but it's still built from materials and systems that can be analyzed, reshaped, and even recreated with the right expertise. That realization is one of the key reasons this rebuild has become so controversial. The absence of manufacturer support adds another layer of complexity to everything. Without official guidance, every component becomes a challenge. Airbags, chassis repairs, cooling systems. None of it comes with instructions or easy solutions. Each problem has to be approached with a mix of experience, creativity, and risk. The chassis repair is a perfect example of this mindset. Instead of replacing entire sections, which would be the standard approach under manufacturer guidelines, the decision is made to rebuild what's already there. It sounds simple when described as just working with metal, but the reality is far more involved. The process includes cutting damaged sections, applying heat to reshape structural elements, and carefully welding everything back together piece by piece. Watching it unfold makes it clear that this isn't guesswork or improvisation. It's the result of years of experience and a deep understanding of how vehicles are constructed. Still, this is exactly where opinions split again. Some see it as a remarkable display of craftsmanship, while others see it as a risk that shouldn't be taken with a car of this caliber. Then there's the discovery that really intensified the debate: the airbags. During the teardown process, small details begin to surface: part numbers, markings, and identifiers that suggest something unexpected. When these clues are cross-referenced, they point toward components that appear similar to those found in more common vehicles, possibly even something like an Audi A3. That revelation becomes a turning point in how people perceive the car. For some, it makes perfect sense. After all, shared engineering across brands isn't unusual, especially within large automotive groups. But for others, it's surprising, even unsettling. The idea that a multi-million-dollar hypercar might use components similar to those in a much more accessible vehicle challenges the perception of exclusivity that surrounds these machines. It raises questions about what truly makes a hypercar unique, and whether that uniqueness is always as absolute as it seems. Faced with this information, a decision has to be made. Do they trust these components? Do they use them? Or do they avoid them entirely to stay on the safe side? Instead of backing away, they move forward with testing and fitting, and when it works, it pushes the boundaries even further. Now the project isn't just about rebuilding what was damaged, it's about exploring what parts are interchangeable and proving that certain assumptions about these cars might not hold up under scrutiny. As the build progresses, the focus shifts toward the interior, and this is where the tone changes completely. Up to this point, the work has been largely technical, focused on repairs, functionality, and solving mechanical challenges. The interior introduces something different: creativity. Instead of restoring it to its original factory condition, the decision is made to completely reimagine it. The result is bold, featuring a mix of purple, white, and custom patterns that transform the look of the car entirely. When this new design is revealed, it sparks another wave of divided opinions. Some people appreciate the uniqueness, seeing it as a way to give the car a distinct identity. Others feel the opposite, arguing that a car like this should remain as close to its original form as possible. For them, altering the interior takes away from what makes it special. This difference in perspective highlights a deeper question about the purpose of such a project. Is it about preserving originality, or is it about creating something new? In this case, the direction is clear, and it leans heavily toward reinvention. Meanwhile, one of the most critical challenges continues to develop in the background: the cooling system. It might not be as visually striking as other parts of the build, but it's absolutely essential. Without proper cooling, none of the other work matters, because the car simply won't function. Instead of sourcing replacement radiators, the decision is made to build them from scratch. This involves using available cores, designing custom fittings, and relying on trial and error to get everything right. At this stage, the project moves beyond skill and into the realm of risk. If something goes wrong here, the consequences could affect the entire car, not just a single component. When everything is finally assembled and ready for testing, there's a sense of anticipation. This is a crucial moment because it will determine whether all the effort put into the cooling system has paid off. The system is pressurized, and for a brief moment, it seems like everything is working as intended. Then a leak appears, and everything comes to a halt. That single issue is enough to delay progress and prevent further testing. It's a reminder that despite all the advancements made, this is still a complex rebuild without the safety net of manufacturer support. Every step forward carries the possibility of setbacks, and every solution comes with a degree of uncertainty. Even with challenges like this, the overall progress is undeniable. The chassis has been rebuilt, the interior has been transformed, and the car is closer than ever to running again. At this point, the discussion expands beyond the car itself and starts to focus on what the entire process represents. Some see it as proof that these vehicles aren't as untouchable as they appear, that with enough knowledge and determination, even the most advanced machines can be understood and repaired. So others see it as a cautionary example, reinforcing the idea that manufacturers impose strict controls for a reason. And then there are those who simply watch, appreciating the journey and waiting to see how it all turns out. What makes this rebuild so compelling is that it reveals what's usually hidden. It shows the inner workings of a hypercar breaks down the complexity and challenges the idea that these machines exist on an entirely different level from everything else. At the same time, it raises important questions about boundaries, responsibility, and the balance between innovation and preservation.